The United Nations is marking the 20th anniversary of its Convention on the Law of the Sea. It's an agreement that governs countries' responsibilities across the oceans. But it comes at a time of numerous maritime disputes in the South China Sea and heightened tensions between China and some of its maritime neighbors, including Japan and Vietnam. CCTV's Nick Harper is live for us at the UN headquarters in New York. Nick.
Well, this is an issue that the UN clearly feels very strongly about. It's dedicating a whole week of debates and discussions to the issue. Opening today's event, the Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon said that the convention was one of the most significant and visionary agreements of the 21st century, one that provides, he says, the basis for peaceful cooperation and legal certainty. But in many ways, today's event was more about what was left unsaid. Many of the leaders seemed unwilling to confront their individual territory disputes head-on. For example, the Philippines said the convention is a way of resolving disputes. And Japan said, quote, all parties should refrain from using force or coercion. But of course, we have to remember that Japan and China have for some time been involved in the maritime dispute over the islands known as Diaoyu in China and Senkaku in Japan. And the Philippines has only just recently settled a 20-year dispute that it had with Indonesia.
And Nick, we've seen several weeks of anti-China protests in Vietnam after China started drilling operations inside a neighboring zone of the South China Sea, which the Vietnamese leaders claim belong to them. Anything new with that?
Well, interestingly, China and Vietnam didn't talk at today's United Nations event, but China did pass a paper to the Secretary-General about their drilling operations. And that was entitled Vietnam's Provocation and China's Position. And in it, it said, in the face of Vietnam's provocation and its actions on the sea, China has exercised great restraint. Also today, in the last month, China said that Vietnam had carried out 1,400 ramming raids against Chinese vessels. And just last week, Vietnam showed TV footage that it said showed a Chinese ship ramming a Vietnamese vessel, which later sank. Elaine?
All right, CCTV's Nick Harper live at UN headquarters in New York.